Chapter 16, Dealing with Problem Situations. Hi everyone, this is Erin Chavez. When leading groups, a leader must be prepared to deal with any number of situations. In this chapter, we identify many of the most common problems that arise and provide examples to illustrate some skills and techniques for handling these situations. Each behavior has its meaning and there is a purpose behind it. The behavior is either attention-seeking, seeking power, seeking revenge, or a display of inadequacy. Understanding the behavior can help you find the most appropriate course of action. The 13 most identified common problems are the chronic talker, the dominator, the distractor, the rescuing member, the negative member, the resistant member, the member who tries to get the leader, dealing with silence, dealing with sexual feelings, dealing with crying, dealing with mutually hostile members, asking a member to leave, and dealing with prejudiced, narrow-minded, or insensitive members. The first identified common problem is the chronic talker. This one has a little more components to it, so I put them all together as one. So the first one, the nervous member. The nervous member will a lot of times talk to hide their feelings. So instead of trying to address things, they'll just kind of talk over people. They'll be the first one to answer questions or volunteer, talks to alleviate anxiety, and will talk for as long as they are permitted or until stopped. The rambler, naturally a talkative person, and will dominate the conversation, unaware of their effect on others, tells long drawn out stories and repeats themselves. Stories are often trivial and meaningless to the people listening, or may not even have anything to do with what the group is talking about. The show-off is talkative out of insecurity, wants to show others what they know, offers unsolicited advice, answers all questions and asks irrelevant questions. Others resent him or her. To determine a chronic talker, how long has a talker been talking? How many comments has the talker made compared to others? Are the members' comments in line with the purpose of the group? Is the member preventing others from talking? Are others bored or irritated? Is the member talking out of nervousness or trying to impress others? These are just some questions that a leader can ask themselves in order to determine what a chronic talker is. So in order to handle the talkative member, pair up members into dyads, making sure to pair yourself with the chronic talker. So as the leader, you can use this opportunity to individually call out the talkativeness to the member and make them aware, spare them from embarrassment. You can also make an announcement to the whole group and remind them that everyone needs to be heard and not to dominate the conversation. So that way you're not singling anybody out. The next identified common problems are 2 through 4. The dominator tries to rule the group. Leader most likely will need to meet with them privately to discuss appropriate behavior within the group. You can give them, in order to address it, you can give them a role as a helper in the group to make them feel special. And then often dominators are asked to leave the group only because it just doesn't end up working out. The distractor, a member who is either seeking or avoiding attention, accomplishes this by getting group off task. Most common found in groups where they are obligated to be in. Talking with the member and ignoring comments or behaviors helps minimize their effects. The rescuing member. The attempt of a member to smooth out any negative feelings, uses unhelpful statements to soothe the member in pain, which comes off patronizing. Sometimes this can look like people saying, "Oh, it'll be okay," or "You'll get through this," when really they just want to hear and they want to find solutions. You can teach members how helping and sharing differ from rescuing. So definitely that would be in a leadership role. A leader may have to intervene often to show the member that everyone needs to process their own feelings in their own way. Common problems 5 through 7, the negative member. Constantly complains about the group or disagrees with other members. Troublesome because they contradict the leader's positive goals. Group sessions may become gripe sessions, disturbing the reason for the group. The leader must identify the allies and direct questions to them. Leader must avoid eye contact with the negative person when asking questions. This just helps in order to keep the group going in the direction that it was meant to be. And never confront a negative member in a group setting. If they feel attacked, then it will just turn into a showdown between the two of you, and then it won't end well. The resistant member, possibly forced to be in the group. Sometimes members need to work through their resistance by expressing their anger. So with the resistant member, if maybe sometimes if you let them just speak their piece, they'll be able to at least be in a better place where, okay, I said what I wanted to say, and they might still be open to what the group is about and get something positive out of it. Leaders must listen to the cues to see if the member can possibly learn from the group and is willing to work through the resistance. So a lot of what the resistant member is saying, you will have to just make sure you're in tune with them and see if the outcome is going to be positive or not. Leader must distinguish between a member who is resisting group process or resistant because they do not want to change something about themselves. And lastly, do not take up productive time with that member and apply it towards another. So basically, what that means is if you listen to the cues that are being shown to you, don't push it. If they're not trying, if they don't want to be there and they don't want to make change, then don't waste your time on that member when there's other members that are really there and really want to affect change. The member who tries to quote unquote get the leader. When a member tries to sabotage what the leader is saying or doing to the group, the reasons are usually because the leader said or did something to irritate the member, such as putting them on the spot, cutting them off, telling them you will circle back to them. A leader should turn the focus away from any power struggle. Talk to the member to find out the issues, or if you know the reason, try to engage positively and give them positive attention, and hopefully that would turn things around. The next three, dealing with silence. Productive silence occurs when members are internally processing something said or done in the group. Non-productive silence is when members are confused, fearful, or bored. A leader can tell which it is by observing the members' reactions. Leaders should break the silence with a question around or exercise relevant and productive. A leader should never leave the room or the group with too much silence, because then that just makes it awkward, and then the members end up becoming more resistant to share. So it's good to, as a leader, to keep it moving, and just keep them engaged, even if they're not responding. Dealing with sexual feelings. Sometimes members of the support or therapy groups will become sexually attracted to one another. Members may hold back from sharing or try to impress one another. This is just an effect of, if this happens to happen in your group, it's just one of the effects of it. These kinds of dynamics can be detrimental to the group process, only because then now they're not sharing from an honest space. Leaders can set ground rules from the beginning and explain how it can be a problem for relationships to develop. So just by putting that out there and saying, okay, one of the rules of this group, in order for it to work successfully, is there cannot be any relationships. And obviously, you can't avoid this all the time. Obviously, it might happen. So if a situation arises, a leader can choose to talk privately to the members or as a group setting, depending on the case. Dealing with crying. There are many reasons why a member may tear up or sob uncontrollably in a group setting. As a leader, you need to remember you are in a group setting and know when the time is right to address it at that moment, or ask the member to stay behind after group. Somebody might just be crying because of what's being said in general, not necessarily because they're feeling something. So not every time that someone's crying does it warrant for you to stop the group, make sure they're okay, or whatever. Maybe have a box of tissues ready in case someone does want to grab one, they can grab it. But if a situation presents itself and it cannot wait, try breaking up into dyads and meet with that member that's in distress, and just individually talk to them about what's happening. um, Problems 11 through 13. Dealing with mutually hostile members. There will be times when group members do not like each other. Try to find out ahead of time if it's a pre-existing issue. So meaning like, do they already know each other from previously, or is there something that happened, or and they're bringing it into this group now? If it's not, then then it's something that it's created within the group and they just met, and just try to figure out what the dynamics are. Do not focus on members liking each other, but the goal is to not let their dislike interfere with the benefits of the group. Leaders should meet privately with conflicting members to identify the issue. The meeting should be a cooperative effort. Don't ambush or catch anyone off guard. If the conflict has no resolution, members may be asked to leave, which leads us to our next problem: asking a member to leave. Some of the reasons members could be asked to leave are being very negative, hostile, or resistant towards other members or even the leader. The needs may be contrary to the purpose of the group. So if their needs do not align with why the group is there, then that's something that would be a reason for you to ask a member to leave. Disruptive or rude members are another reason. If anyone's being disrespectful to another group member and not respecting what they have to say. Once decided, the leader can meet with the member after the group to discuss. If the reason is very disruptive and can't wait, the leader can announce to the group, as an example, Steve, you have disrupted the group too much, please leave. If they're obviously being blatantly disrespectful, then in a group setting, it is completely warranted for you to call them out in front of everybody and, make sure that everyone knows that this is what's being done for the sake of the group. And lastly, dealing with prejudiced, narrow-minded, or insensitive members. Dealing with a member with a very narrow or prejudiced view. Opposing views are welcome, but not to the point where members are preaching or judging. So if, as an example, if you're in the group and you're discussing that you had an affair, and your husband left you, and you have another group member that's, very religious, and, how could you, divorce, or, having an affair is a sin. That's not the place for it, for everybody's own personal views, or, moral, or, moral compass, or, ethics. The leader role is to be tolerant of members' differences and only intervene when comments are so prejudiced that they are harmful. It is not good leadership to always let members have their say. So if there's something that that you feel that it's not aligned with the group, and it's definitely a personal, um, it's a personal opinion, then the leader has the right to stop what the comments are. Conclusion: as a group leader, you will be faced with many difficult members and many difficult situations, such as chronic talker, the dominator, the distractor, to name a few. For each situation, there are different skills and techniques that can be helpful. For resistant clients, it is important to distinguish whether the member is resistant to being in the group or to changing. For crying members, the leader has to know when the tears should be supported and when they should be ignored. A very important thing to understand is that there will be times when you will have to ask a member to leave the group because of the dynamics that he or she is creating. When faced with these situations, we suggest you refer back to this chapter. Thank you so much for listening.